Okay, for this next fidget spinner, we're going to try something a bit more complicated. So let's look at the pictures. And if I look at this one, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides, and it's got sort of a circle, and then it kind of has a reverse circle going inwards. And it's pretty complicated to make, so let's have a go at that and see how we do. So I've actually made the overall shape before just to try it out and see if we could do it. So I'll keep that open so we can refer to it, and hopefully we can find a relatively easy way to make that shape. So we'll start out with the central bearing. 11 millimeters, enter, but I don't need to type the millimeters, remember. And I need to make something that goes from here up to 40 millimeters high, so we make sure that we don't make it larger than 40 millimeters. So I start and then I type in 40, enter, and then press escape to finish drawing that line. And if for some reason you can't see the line that you drew on the axis, you can go view and hide the axes. Okay, now I'm going to draw that size circle, and if I remember correctly, well, I could measure it actually, see what I did last time. It's just about 20 millimeters, so 10 for the radius. So I want to come down 10 and then draw the circle. So let's see, what's the best way to do that? I could just do this. Type in 10, enter. Then grab that, get my move tool, touch the very top point there, and then touch the top point there. Okay, that's pretty good. And now I want to rotate that circle around, but first I think I'll get rid of that line now. And I'll rotate that circle around, so I'll click on the surface, or I could click on the circle. Either way in this instance it's pretty easy. I'll get my rotate tool. I'll click on the center of rotation first, make sure it's right there on that endpoint. Then I'm going to click up here. I'm going to start rotating, but press Control first, and that means it'll drag a copy. And there's five going around 360 degrees, which means it's 72 degrees. So I type in 72, enter, and then I press X, 4 copies. And that did that pretty well. Let's move this over just a little bit. And now we need to make these curves going in. Now, one way I could do that would be to draw a semicircle. So from this point to this point, draw a little line, and then draw a semicircle. So let's try that. And to make sure that we get the correct line, right, because I might accidentally go there, or there, or there. I want to make sure it's exactly these two circles. So what I really want to do is draw a line from the center of this circle. Alright, and here's a little tip. If you start with the pencil and go straight to the center, it's hard to find the middle. If you touch the circle on the outside, it highlights the center of the circle with a blue dot, and then I can go there and touch that. So click once. Now I'm going to touch this circle. It highlights the center with a blue dot. Then go touch that blue dot. There we go. And now, because I drew a line from there to there, we know that that point and that point are exactly the correct points to draw this semicircle. And now I'll go over to, not shapes, curves. I'll do a 2-point arc. And I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see this better. I'll click there. And then I'll click there. And then I'll come in until it says half circle. Half circle. Click. So that's good. At this point I can rub out that line. And now I want to copy that half circle all the way around. So I'll highlight that half circle, get my rotate tool, click on the center there, make sure I'm on the center. It says endpoint, and I know that this line goes directly to the center of the circle. Incidentally, if that line wasn't there, maybe you rubbed it out like that. I'll highlight the curve I want to copy, Get my rotate tool. And it's hard to find the center, so just touch the circle. And like I said before, when you touch the circle, it highlights the center with a blue dot. Then I can go touch that blue dot, click. And now, in all honesty, it doesn't matter where I click here. What matters is the number that I type in. But I just like to get into the habit of always pointing maybe north or 12 o'clock. So I click once, start rotating around, and that's odd. Why is it doing that? Well, it's moving that central semicircle, and that makes the objects that it's glued to change. So in order to prevent that from happening, I simply need to tap Control. I don't need to hold Control down, just tap it. And now it's grabbing a copy instead. And now 360 divided by 5 is 72, so I type in 7 to enter, and then lowercase x 4 enter. And that did that, so that's good. I think I want to make a circle for these. Instead of ball bearings, I was going to put sort of marbles in there. So let's just double check the size on those. If you need to, you can zoom in. Click there. Try to make sure you're going straight across. Like that would be no good. I need to make sure you're going straight across, and it says 10 millimeters. I think that's fairly standard for regular plain old glass marbles. So I'll draw a circle starting there. Don't go at an angle, go straight up or straight to the right. And then instead of clicking the mouse button for the second point, I simply type in 5 for the radius, enter. At this stage I can delete some of the things I don't need, like that. I can grab that disk, like that. Actually, no, I probably want to grab the outline, the circle there. Get my rotate tool. Now I found the center beautifully, but if it didn't, touch the edge of the circle. It highlights the center of the circle blue. Then touch the center of the circle. Click. Okay, go up here, click again. Okay, tap Control on my keyboard. Type in 7 to enter, x 4, enter. And at this stage I can start rubbing out some of these curves that I don't need. And that one. And you can see that there's no fill, so let me just see if I can fix that. Sometimes I've found to fix fills I can just go to any points like that, click once, and then go to a point there and click again. And see how that fixed the fill? And there's also another problem. If you see a line like this one, for example, that's bolder than this line, it means that for some reason that disk is not selectable, so I can't delete that disk. Well, fix it the exact same way. Let me just show you the difference. This line is a bit thinner, and you can see I can select that disk and delete it. When I go to try to select that disk to delete it, it selects the whole thing. The way to fix that is just get your pencil tool, zoom in, you can see those segments, just click once there, click there. That fixed it, it went thin. Now you can select that and delete it. If you try to select something and it selects more than what you thought it should, just get your pencil tool. By the way, green is endpoint, light blue is midpoint. So I want to go to the 2 endpoints like that. Delete that. I can delete that. That's no good. Get my pencil tool. I tend to zoom in quite a bit just to make sure I'm doing things correctly. Okay, almost done. And now we can go to a 3D view, grab my push-pull tool, tap the surface, push upwards, type in 7, enter. Okay, we don't need this anymore. Triple click this, 1, 2, 3, edit, make group, and can't remember what color I made the original, so I'll just grab a color here. Materials, let's go for colors, and we'll go for purple. And that's it. Okay, just another really quick thing. Let's close materials and look at layers. Okay, so let's make spinner 2 visible. Okay, there it is. Let's make spinner 2 the highlighted layer and hide spinner 3. And now let's copy one of those components. Well, they're all grouped up. Actually, I don't need to copy them. What I could do, because I made the original ball bearing as a component, I can make spinner 3 active again, hide spinner 2, and with spinner 3 active, I'm going to go up to the tray here that says Components, and remember, if you don't see that tray, go up to Window, Default Tray, and turn on Components. And then I'm going to click on the little down arrow right there and say, I want to see some components that are in the model. And here are the components that are in the model, and the only one I need is the bearing, so I single click that, and I'm just going to drop it right there for now, and then I'm going to hide that because I don't need that anymore. Now I'll go to a top view, and I want to center this one perfectly right there. So here's my trick. I just grab the pencil tool and I find the midpoint. So I just touch the circle there and go to the midpoint, or more often than not I'll go straight across like so, and then I'll press escape. And I'll do the same thing here, but maybe from top to bottom, like that. Press escape to finish the line. And then what I'll do is I will simply touch only the bearing, like so. So select the bearing, get my move tool, like so, and then I will touch the center or midpoint of that line. Okay, and it just snaps right to the middle there. And then I will touch the midpoint of that vertical line, and then I can actually rub the two lines out because I don't need them anymore. Just go to a 3D view to make sure it looks good, and if for some reason this was not lined up, so for example maybe it was up resting on the surface like so, because that happens sometimes by accident, all you would need to do is go to a front view, make sure perspective isn't on, because if it is, it would look like this, and it would be really hard. If I went to a front view, oops, I don't know what that's doing there, let's get rid of that. If you went to a front view and it didn't look head on, it's because you've got perspective on. So let's turn perspective off. Select the ball bearing, get the move tool. Do not touch the bearing, okay, because that means that when you touch it, whatever you touch next, it'll snap to it. Right, and I'll show you what would happen. If I touch that and go there, you'll see that it moved it. It's no longer centered. So let's undo that. Go back to a front view. When you select something with the pre-select method, you can see the blue outline. Then when you get the move tool, you can click anywhere out here once, then let go of the mouse button, push down so it's going straight down, not at an angle. And then do not click the button a second time. In other words, don't do this by eye. What you should do is type the value in, and we know that the thickness was 7 millimeters, so we'll just type in 7, enter. And you can see that did the job. Okay, now I can highlight the whole thing and say Edit, Make Group. Okay, and yeah, in a later lesson I'll probably show you how to design and draw spheres, which is a bit complicated, but we won't worry about that for this one. Okay, that's that one done.